Well, good evening and good night, everyone. I think we have a lot of background noise. Someone have their radio on, I think. Is that you, Tony?
Yeah, hang on.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone, or good night, and welcome to I'm going to call the football forum. It normally was a Premier League forum, but we're talking all things football because we've touched on some Champions League. So first, I'll welcome our panelists. Neil, how you doing? You should be smiling after yesterday.
Of course. Look, big smile, big smile.
Tony, how you doing? Your Arsenal, I'm not sure what direction they're going, but of late they're 1-2 in the spot. How you doing?
We're doing all right. I'm happy about that.
And Drew, we bow to you, sir. You've done it again. That's 5 of 10 in the last 10 years. You're now the new Man U, I think. And now you're no longer noisy neighbors. Your noisy neighbors are running behind you. I think you've switched that whole narrative, actually. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. But on this whole noisy neighbour thing, I actually read something really interesting earlier about Man United from TalkSport yesterday. Even United players were getting in on this as well. So Man City have not been the best champions this season. I'm going to be very honest about that. It's been an odd league. We've got lucky to win it in some instances. We have been the best team over the course of the season. Liverpool's injuries have massively helped us, quite frankly. But the whole thing I was reading, it's are Man United the worst runners-up in Premier League history? And you know what? I'm just going to put it out there now. United have been the worst runners-up in league history.
I've never heard that title. that has to be a rivalry. That drives that conversation. Get to work.
It was on TalkSport, so I've got to buy into it.
But you're only leading by about 10 points. I can understand if you were leading by 20, 30 points. You're only leading by 10. I think the last time I checked, maybe now 13, given the recent results.
I think this just says how poor the league's actually been this season, though. Man City haven't been great champions. But Man United
I actually don't agree with that narrative, though. And here is why. So when we have more parity, we say it's not great. Because we want to have. I think when you have runaway winners, it's not great. Man City won, but they struggled early in the season. They went on a significant run and never came back to the pack, right? And I would only say we have a bad season in the Premier League if the teams weren't doing well in Europe. So Chelsea and Man City are in the final of the Champions League. Man U is in the final of the Europa League. I'm not sure. Where's your team, Arsenal, Tony? But anyway, it's another story for another day. No longer my team, by the way, even though I'm starting today. But the fact of the matter is you have 3 teams of the 4 that could be in the top European competitions. So you can't say parity is bad. Actually, the parity may be saying something else, which is there's much more money being invested in the league. There's much more gathering and collection of very good players across the league. I think that parity will increase as teams try to catch up. And I'm hoping that the Spurs and the Arsenal, who were part of that Super League, their owners will have some guilt associated with that. I will invest based on that guilt. Hey, Cool Kid, how you doing? 18, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. So this evening, we're going to have a lot of different topics. Tony has suggested some topics around league results, but that's all nice. We're going to talk about some other things, including league results. First, we'll talk about tomorrow's FA Cup final, where we have Leicester versus Chelsea, and get your perspective, starting with Drew, as to outcome.
Do you know what? I actually have no idea who I want to win the game. I really want Leicester to win in some respects because it will dent Chelsea's confidence a little bit. Then maybe a midweek win for Leicester as well would be quite nice. Put Chelsea in a little bit of trouble, get them unfocused on the Champions League a little bit because they're worrying too much about position. But yeah, if Chelsea turn up and play like they played yesterday against Arsenal, I think Leicester do them, and it will be quite convincing. Would be the wrong way of putting it, but Leicester have got the players that can punish Chelsea if they turn up and play like they played against Arsenal yesterday. So I'm gonna back Leicester just to honestly piss off Chelsea. So
Neil, your perspective on that game?
It should be a good game. I personally believe Leicester will do it. I mean, to be honest, Chelsea next to United, Chelsea's the next team I just cannot stand. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they play really badly against them and then badly against them in the league as well and drop more points. That's what I'm hoping for, but we'll have to see how it actually pans out. I mean, Tuchel's got them playing really well, unfortunately, or fortunately if you're a Chelsea fan. He's done well this season. I didn't think that they would actually end up in the top four when he took over. I thought that it'd probably take them maybe a season, 2 seasons before they start gelling together. But he's done pretty well this season. Tomorrow, I reckon, I'd like to see Leicester win it 2-1 maybe, but it will be a close and it should be a very good game.
Hey, Tony.
Yeah, there's no way I'm gonna want the Russian oligarch money to win. There's no way. Sorry, I want the underdog. I prefer when teams do what Leicester do. You know, they build from solid homegrown foundations, and they don't bring in rich oil money or rich ill-gotten gains from the Eastern Bloc. Let's go, Leicester.
Money laundering.
Okay, so I'm going to rephrase the question. And a quick answer. Drew, what does your head say and what does your heart say?
Head says Chelsea, heart says Leicester.
Okay. Neil?
Unfortunately, yeah, the same. Head Chelsea, heart
Tony?
Leicester.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Okay, good. We have a consensus. I think Chelsea's gonna win. I'm thinking Chelsea to win. Look, I think if Vardy was firing, I would say Chelsea, but Vardy has not fired in quite a while. So I think it's unless we have Warner.
Iheanacho, mate. Iheanacho, come on, Nigerian brother.
Yeah, but then they're playing 4-4-2, right? That makes it much more difficult. Because as Chelsea did against us, they dominated possession, just like City did today against Newcastle. Dominated possession. And they have runners off the ball, so it's going to be tough for Leicester. But Leicester's a good team. And Kante may not
play. Is not to be underrated, man. Their midfield is very strong.
Yeah, and Kante, my understanding, is injured still, so may not be able to play, but we'll see what happens. But there's also a preface to the upcoming game of the week, which is probably even more important than the FA Cup, is they're playing for top 4, which Neil should be smiling about. He gets a draw. He's in a good slot. So Neil is pretty actually. You're looking on the outside looking in. Now you may maybe the other way around. Champions League final. We'll start with Tony this time. Who are you picking to come out on top in that game?
In which game, sorry?
Champions League final. Chelsea versus Man City.
I'm going to have to stay with my London team on that one, though.
Wow.
I just got a feeling Chelsea have had Man City's number, and in recent weeks, I think it's going to be a repeat. I think Chelsea just somehow squeak a win out of that one.
Yeah, Neil?
City all the way, unfortunately. Too strong. That's the one thing they haven't won. That's the one thing they've been aiming for ever since Pep has got there. He will put out the strongest team that he possibly can do. I just can't see Chelsea right now actually beating them for that cup. Can't see it.
And Drew?
So Chelsea did beat us last weekend, which I'm going to be honest, I don't agree with probably 3 or 4 major decisions in that game, which I'm not even saying this as a City fan now. Sterling, when he got taken out, second half, penalty, which just not given. The big one, Aguero, just honestly, you have Aguero who has buried penalties throughout his entire career and then just decides he's going to try and chip one in, which was absolute ridiculous. But City, over the course of the game, probably should have beaten Chelsea last weekend. And this is the thing, Chelsea haven't played the full strength Man City lineup yet this season. FA Cup, we rested players for Europe. Last weekend, we rested players. I know Chelsea rested a couple as well, but Chelsea were much nearer to full strength than what City were. I think the full strength City lineup will do damage against Chelsea, and I think they'll win. Not comfortably, but I'd back a 2-1 to City.
Yeah, I think playing with a false 9 is challenging, and it's even showing up for City who dominates possession. Because if you think about the games against PSG, I'm not sure they could have scored much more goals than they scored in that game. And in one of those games, the 2 goals they scored, where Navas misjudged one and the other goal, they weren't really great goal they created, right? So you may dominate possession, but are you putting the ball in the net? You're creating a lot of chances with that possession. They don't do as well as I think they could. They should get, like, hopefully get a 9 next. Well, not hopefully. They may get a 9 next year, because if they only get a 9, then we can all mail it in for next year. Apart from Liverpool, frankly, I think Liverpool becomes stronger. But I do think City will win this time. But I think Chelsea makes too many chances. They don't have a individual who can put the ball in the net on a consistent basis. You know,
Well, they haven't got a player who's actually in double figures, have they, in the league this season?
No, because they don't play, what's his name, the tall forward. I forget his name now.
Oh,
Abraham.
Tammy.
They don't play Tammy as much as they did before. And he's sticking with the German contingent, who don't put the ball in his net as consistently as you'd like. So they're also in the same. They're playing a false 9 like you're doing, because I think Werner plays wide sometimes. He doesn't always play through the middle, and it makes it challenging for them. But I do expect City to win that game. Now we come to the top 4 race. Well, let me flip that. Let's go to City first. Let's get now the City as the champion, Drew. So what is your? I'm going to ask each of you, which is your perspective on the season to date, and how well City have won. I'll start with you, Tony. Which is just your perspective on the City holistic, the whole season holistically, where teams have sort of fall out, and also the questions around and City's victory, obviously, the Liverpool situation, who were dominant last year and won by barely won, but won going away last year where they barely lost a game, and then who you sort of picked for the top 4.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like City at the start of the season weren't going to have the greatest of seasons. You know, they weren't in the top 4 at one point. They weren't firing on all cylinders. And you kind of felt like, could this be one of them seasons where somebody else might come in and nick the league? But they've shown their quality, and I think, you know, in response to Drew's point about the second place team being the worst place second place team, well, you know, maybe City's win of the league is because everyone else has been so poor, you know, ourselves included. You know, you look at Leicester, who in 3rd place, have lost 10 games, you know. So yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride for City. But they have had their runs, and then they've had those runs stopped. Obviously, campaigning on 4 fronts as they were deep into March, April, you know, you knew there was going to come a point where the wheels might fall off and certain games would be dropped, and they'd end up not in all the competitions that they were going for. But you know, you still got to take your hat off. Champions League final and League Champions. It's to be commended.
And who are you picking for the top 4?
I think it's going to stay as it is.
Wow.
I do believe it's going to stay as it is. I know Liverpool have got a game in hand, but I just got a sneaky suspicion Leicester and Chelsea will get just enough points. They play each other after the FA Cup. Draw's probably going to be best for both teams, which doesn't help Liverpool because it just means they're again another point away from Chelsea, or 2 points away from Chelsea if that were to be the result, and 3 points away from, what would be 4 points away from Leicester if they got a draw. So yeah, I'm going to stick with the top 4 to remain as it is.
Drew, same questions.
John, right, the top 4 scenario right now, it is genuinely bugging me. I see Liverpool sneaking into that 4th place, but at the expense of Chelsea or Leicester, I'm not quite sure yet. And it is all going to come down to the game next week. If they get a draw, I'd put Liverpool as favourites to nick 4th ahead of Chelsea. But in my heart, I'd rather Chelsea get 4th. Mostly, and it is purely because I don't particularly like Chelsea, but I don't particularly like Liverpool either. No offense, Neil. I would rather see Chelsea nick it because I think they're going to have such a release and sigh of relief over it that they're going to just take their eye off the ball in the Champions League final. They're going to think they've made it. Just makes City's life easier if Chelsea get fourth, to be honest. So, but that being said, if I was to look at it on who's got the quality, I would say Liverpool will nick fourth off Chelsea right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Liverpool have got the best running, to be honest, over the next 3 games as well. So
they have to win all the games, though.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, have to win all the games. If Leicester and Chelsea draw, Liverpool will nick it by just about nick it. Because at the moment, if they win their game in hand, they're only 1 point behind Chelsea. Yeah, so mathematically, they can get fourth, but obviously that's on 2 fronts. First front, they have to win all their games. Second front, they have to hope that Chelsea and Leicester draw the league game.
And even then, you still have to hope Chelsea lose or draw at Aston Villa. Don't see that happening, bro.
No. One of them will. I mean, if you look at the points, Liverpool have to get the maximum Liverpool can get is 69 points. Okay, if it doesn't go their way, they'll miss out by a point. Yeah, but there's a very good chance that they can do it. I'm not, obviously my heart's in it right now rather than my head. Mathematically, they can do it, but it's mainly on that they have to win their games first. That's the priority. If they drop a point or drop a couple points, they're out of it. They're not going to do it. So they have to win those 3 games mainly, and then see what happens with the other 2 teams. But they're in especially after last night, they're in a much better position, because had they drawn against United or lost against United, you just say forget about top 4.
Hey, Neomis.
So Leicester has 66 points. They have 2 games remaining, so they get a maximum of what, 72?
72. Yeah.
Chelsea has 64. They can get a maximum of 70. Liverpool have 60. They have 3 games in hand, maximum 69.
Right.
The thing in Liverpool's favor is they have a very soft schedule, but you have to win the game. But Leicester, last 2 games are what? They're playing against Chelsea, and they're playing against, is it Spurs?
Yeah, it's Spurs as well, yeah.
They have 2 very tough ending games. And the goal difference is pretty close. So if you're going to use goal difference as the equalizer, if they're both up on 6-7, which is very, very possible, if Liverpool draw a game, Leicester may not make it. I am going to say Leicester is not going to make it. I actually think, even though they only need 3 points, or maybe 4 points from the remaining 2 games, I think it's tough for them. They have to, if they draw the Chelsea game, it still becomes tough. And Liverpool is hungry. And Klopp is just making tough decisions about what he wants to do. That's why he dropped Mane yesterday, to achieve his objective. And so I can't see Liverpool not winning the last 3 games. And I think Leicester is going to find it hard to win one of their next 2 games. So it's going to be challenging for them.
Yeah. Also, you have to remember with Chelsea, even I think one of their games is the last game is against Aston Villa. They're still going to be sort of like thinking about the Champions League. So I think that's going to play in mind. I think he'll play a weaker team against Villa.
I think he disrespected Arsenal. I don't think he played his best team against Arsenal. And, you can't disrespect us, because we can bite. Not hard, but we bite a little bit sometimes. And
I think
we bit them really hard this time, actually. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think he'll do the same against Aston Villa as well, because Champions League is what he wants to win as well. Yes,
but he can't afford to miss. He can't afford not to have top 4, because Champions League is not guaranteed. He's in a conundrum. In the conundrum, he has to get top 4.
Yeah,
that's an imperative, right? And winning Champions League will be good. I think you play the next year, but that's not guaranteed at all, given the City side. So It's going to be interesting. Now, here's my next question. So the season is almost completed. We saw where City has won a game and are very dominant, have a lot of resources. Drew and I communicated about this a lot of times, about my saying money dominates, which is the case. Liverpool is a really well-constructed team and was decimated by injuries this year. So what does each of your team needs next year? Drew, for you to repeat, Neil, for you to win, or Tony, for you to be relevant? Drew?
See, everyone's banging on about getting a centre forward. And I do agree, if we go out and sign Haaland or Kane, it does improve the team. it does. But we have a very good 21-year-old Spaniard who can play through the middle, who just needs a run of games through the middle, in Torres, who scored a hat-trick tonight. He's got a couple of hat-tricks in the past 18 months, one of which for Spain as well. I don't know if going out and strengthening up front is necessarily what we need to do. I mean, maybe bringing in a striker as backup or just sticking with Jesus next season. I don't know. But I think City's real need is to address left back, because Zinchenko's been good for the season. Don't get me wrong, we wouldn't be in the Champions League final without him. Cancelo is a right back. And Mendy, I think his time at City's coming to an end. He's not good enough defensively, full stop. And he's not good enough going forward since all of the injuries to justify him being a defensive liability anymore. So I think City really need to look at the left back position before we think about our centre forwards next season. So if City want to double up and win again next season and go for it again, I think they need to strengthen up at left back, which, yes, it will be another £65 million spent on a defender, I imagine.
So you don't need to spend more than 100 million, you're saying, because I'm sure Haaland or Kane is going to cost more than that. You probably could get someone of a lesser quality and less expensive.
I saw us being linked with Danny Ings. Let's go for it. Bring in Danny Ings.
That's Bertram's favourite player, man. Did you know that?
Back up now. I say this. Danny Ings is a good forward. Injury prone, but he's a good forward. He can hold the ball up. He has speed. He can score left, right foot. He's good in the air. Don't underestimate him because he was at Liverpool, did the workout. He had an ACL injury. I think he had 2 ACL injuries.
Actually. Yeah, 2 injuries.
Which Mendy hasn't recovered from.
Yeah.
I actually really do rate Danny Ings.
I rate Danny Ings. He's in the England squad. He's in England squad, isn't he? He's in England squad, but
I'm just sad. I'm sad that he got sold by Liverpool, to be honest, when he went, because I thought, he could be very useful. And to be honest, especially with the misses we've had in front of goal, had we had him in the squad, we wouldn't have missed so many chances, especially at home.
Yeah, no, he's a good player. What do you need, Neil?
I've got to stop you there. I've got to stop you there. Neil, bro, I told you this a few weeks back. How the hell are you talking about missing strikers? This guy's team has got more strikers than we've got defenders. I told you, bro, we will happily swap you 4 defenders.
No, he's talking about number 9. He's talking about number 9. We agree that they're loaded. He's talking about number 9.
You've got to look at the amount of chances, especially at home, that Liverpool.
You do get chances.
They've had over 100. No, they've had over 100.
Mane, Firmino. What's the kid's name who was on fire at the end of last season? The black guy.
Mane?
No.
He's talking about
Origi?
Not Origi.
Yeah.
Origi.
You guys you're spoiled.
I forgot about him, to be honest.
I think the whole world has, including the Belgium national teams.
Exactly. No, the thing is,
Liverpool have got riches when it comes to strikers.
Listen. You're right. Yes, we've got some of the best forwards in the land. Yeah, but there's no point having the best forwards if they're not firing. At home, they've had over 150 chances and scored about 6 goals. How could you do that throughout the whole season? Yeah, it doesn't
150.
matter.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They've had that many chances at home. Yeah, and only scored about between 4 and 6 goals.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't justify that. You can't justify having that sort of fire force, and yet they failed this season. They failed miserably this season. Yeah, I wouldn't like to see any of them go.
To our world. I'll swap you any of your strikers for a Lacazette or an Aubameyang.
No.
We'll get to Tony. We'll get to Tony. We'll continue. We'll get to Tony.
All right. So as for Liverpool, to be honest, when you're looking at the current squad, not many changes there. Clearly, we need VVD and Gomez back, and we need them to stay injury-free. We also need Matip back as well. Put Fabs in midfield. Him and Thiago would strengthen the midfield.
Jordan Henderson.
As I was saying, Right, I'm not a Henderson fan. I'm not a Henderson fan. I've never been a Henderson fan. The one good thing about him is that he has a lot of faith of the rest of the players, and he helps marshal the team when it comes to positions when they're playing games. And I give him that. But as a baller and a player, he's ordinary. You know, his skills are actually ordinary, but he does a lot of work. I'm not going to take anything away from him because he does a lot of work. But
so I'm going to jump in, guys. I'm going to jump in. I do think when you're an independent observer of another team and you hear the team critique its players, you scratch your head like, "What are you talking about?" Like, guys, Liverpool's midfield is ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
And here's the thing: Liverpool doesn't have a number 10, and you know what? They don't need one because their forward score. So when you don't need a number 10, you don't have 3 defenders and people going forward. You can interchange them. Wijnaldum, Henderson, Thiago, and you have Arthur Chambers on the bench. You have riches galore. Jeez. And you're saying Henderson, what Henderson does really well is this. We don't realize. Just like Alexander-Arnold from the wing, who's crossing the ball on a dime, Henderson does that regularly. Henderson doesn't stop running for the whole game. What games have you been
watching? I couldn't tell you last time Henderson do that.
See, he takes this. It's very deductive reasoning. Look, when he plays the ball to Mane running from the left, he plays it on a dime, just like Alexander-Arnold does. Not as much as Alexander-Arnold, because you use your Robertson and Arnold, almost like your number 10, frankly, to get the ball in the box.
Exactly.
Henderson does a lot of that. And Henderson takes the ball off your, like Fabinho. You have Fabinho too. I forgot Fabinho. What are you talking about?
No. I'm saying put Fabs back. Put Fabs and Thiago back in midfield. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Because
when Henderson come back, Thiago probably sits. Well,
yeah.
You won't have Wijnaldum.
That's what will happen. That's what will happen. Yeah.
Because Thiago is not good defensively, right? He is not good defensively.
No.
But he's very good with the ball in ball possession. He doesn't lose the ball.
Yeah. Fabinho's the one who.
Animal next year as well. Second
he will be.
Season.
Yeah. So anyway, as I was saying, there's not much that Liverpool need. I'd like to see a bit more from the midfield, actually. I'd like to see players like St. Maximin come in because we could use him up front.
Stop there. Stop being greedy, Neil. Stop doing the greedy business. Like, no St. Maximin. Like, give us a chance.
No, seriously.
Let's Spurs and Arsenal say, you know what, let's go for St. Maximin. No.
What
you have Mane, you have Jota, you have Salah. What are you going to play? Mane was pissed yesterday, wasn't he? Mane didn't shake top 10.
He was so upset.
So you want to upset Salah too?
No, but the thing is, what you got to look at is, especially this season, right? Teams have had their number because Liverpool still play the same way. Need to vary it up, and to vary it up, you need players like St. Maximin that you can just put on, and he will turn the game around for Liverpool, definitely, especially when we're having a bad game against the lower teams, definitely. Adama Traore as well, what a tank. Now that's a tank that everybody needs. Yeah, he shrugs people off like they're boys. You know what I mean?
He does, and I like him. But what he doesn't do enough is put the ball in the net or make the right decision in the final third.
No, he doesn't.
He needs coaching.
No, you're right. But the thing is, he needs someone like Klopp to kind of change the way he plays and get the best out of him. Because Klopp, seriously, before Klopp got there, the majority of the squad that we had, they were just mediocre. He's taken a lot of those mediocre who used to play the long ball game, and he's taken them, and now we're playing the short ball game, and we're playing it really well. When we're not injured and we have those sort of issues, we know we're one of the best in the country. But unfortunately, due to injuries this season, been poor. We've been poor.
Andrew has a question for you.
Sorry, Andrew. What was the
question?
If
the individual speaking as a Liverpool fan, what's his biggest disappointment?
Oh, biggest disappointment. Yeah, definitely Van Dijk. You see the difference between the 2 seasons. You definitely see. You know, Van Dijk. Me personally, and I'm part of a couple of Liverpool forums. I'd like to see Van Dijk with the captaincy. He's the one who's going to take over. I think he's going to take over from Henderson in that respect. He commands a lot of respect from the players. He marshals the defence like crazy, you know, and he's scoring us goals as well from set pieces. You know, that's a good player to have. And yeah, when he got injured, boy, you don't know what I was saying about what's his name from Everton, the keeper. What's the keeper's name? I can't remember his name now.
Jordan Pickford.
Yeah,
Pickford.
Pickford. He was.
yeah.
Oh, I'm telling you one thing now. That was a bad word for me for the whole. It's been a bad word for the whole season. I don't normally want the worst for people, but I wanted him injured. You know, I know he's bad, and I shouldn't think that way. But from what he did, with causing all that to start with Van Dijk, nah, I can't forgive him. Cannot forgive him.
But Neil, you have 3 defenders returning, central defenders, and you're going after the Leipzig defender. What's his name? Konate, whatever his name is. It's supposed to be a done deal. So you're going to have 4. You can only play 2. So that'll be interesting next season when you have so much competition for places, similar to what City has actually in a number of different positions. Because you may have a much more healthy team than you have this year. A lot of players who are playing now are not being injured, at least the remaining players. You have Henderson coming back. You have Van Dijk coming back. You have Gomez. You have Matip.
Yep.
You have a pretty strong squad, and you may supplement that with one or two more players. So you're in a good shape, actually.
No,
Go ahead.
No, I'll say we'll be in a much better shape. I'm looking at City's model. City have 2 decent players per position. Okay, yeah. And they have a lot of competition, and they bring the best out of each other. Liverpool don't. And that's what they need. They need more players who are going to make those players actually think about the position and worry, do you know what? If I don't play this week, Klopp's going to drop me. You know?
Neil,
and that's part of the problem as well.
I've got to ask this question. Neil, what position do you not have a second player able to push the first player that is...
The front four, for example.
You've got
6 strikers, bro.
6
strikers.
No, I look at 4.
On any day will come into my
team. What you take? You can have Origi then, yeah. You can have Origi.
Go ahead, Drew.
Right. The thing is, right, I don't get how Liverpool still play Firmino as their number 9. I mean, he's. I'm gonna swear, he's fucking infuriating to watch. I do not understand
this season.
I think we're confusing his role. He's playing a pseudo 9.
Yes,
that's why Salah scores so many goals. He's a link-up player, so they're going to put up with 3 midfielders and play very defensively, press high. He presses really well. He runs all game. He's skillful on the ball. He can play like a 10. He's not a true 9 because he doesn't score enough to be a true 9.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only issue, that he's not scoring enough, that he should be scoring more. But to be honest, when you look at his link-up play, if he wasn't there, Liverpool actually miss him when they don't play him. Yeah,
John, I genuinely, I can't believe these words are about to come out of my mouth. I think I'd like to see Origi given a run as Liverpool centre forward.
No, man, no.
What? No, actually, no. Just bring back Benteke. Go on, do it.
Oh! Now you're swearing at me. Mate.
Benteke has about 7 or 8 goals this season. It's more than Firmino. But anyway, Tony, what does Arsenal need? What's your team Arsenal need?
Have we got enough time for that?
We only have about 20 minutes remaining, so we probably need all the time.
Okay, I'm going to make this short and sweet. As probably most people will understand, Arsenal are in a rebuilding phase. We started in January when we cleared out 5 players.
No. Stop right there. We've been rebuilding since Wenger left, but keep going.
No. We properly started the rebuild. As far as I'm concerned, we started in January. Forget all that previous shenanigans, yeah? Yeah, we started in January. We went and we cleared some deadwood because Arsenal for a number of seasons have been carrying deadwood, and we still got a number of it to get rid of. So here's my issue. Here's my positions of need, starting from the back. Goalkeeper. Leno is going. So I hear. I heard Romano talking about it today. Fabrizio Romano, well-known journalist. We need a new goalkeeper. The Ajax goalkeeper would be my choice. We need a right back. We need a right back more.
Tony, I'll stop you there. He can't play till October, by the way. The Ajax goalkeeper had a drug charge. Can't play till October.
I'm still choosing him. Yeah, because the first 2 months of the season ain't going to be that important. So,
so the next season again, we're going to win.
Next season, I'm not expecting. Listen, I don't expect us to win that next season. I really don't. So
my time on this earth is not that long, so I'm sorry. I can't wait till 2050 for us to be relevant again. You gotta give me some more immediate.
You might have to do that. So, right back. Hector Bellerin is leaving the club. Again, reliably being informed that that's going to happen. So, we need a right back because clearly the manager has no faith in Cedric, who was brought in on a 4-year deal to be a right back or left back, and he has no faith in him. He'd rather play a centre midfielder as a wing back over Cedric. So, right back has to be the number one priority for our club, even over a goalkeeper, in all honesty. A left back to back up the man who is currently the number one left back, possibly in the country, but at least at Arsenal. But he's injury prone. Central midfield. We need a centre midfield to partner Thomas Partey. Yeah? And across the front, I actually think we got the players, but it depends on who stays and who goes. So if, for instance, as I possibly expect, Lacazette and Nketiah leave, if two of them leave, one must come in. If neither leave, then nobody's coming in up front because there's no point in having all them strikers, which would be Martinelli, Aubameyang, Lacazette, following Balogun and Nketiah, which would be 5 strikers. There's no point in buying another striker and having 6 strikers. But 2 of them go, 1 has to come in. So that's my summary.
So that's the thing. So you need what you're saying about 4 players?
Goalkeeper,
right.
right back. Right back
Right.
is the number 1 position for me.
Right.
Left back,
Right.
centre midfielder, striker depends on who goes, on how many go.
So you need 5 players. And you want one's a backup. So you need 4 players basically. One's a backup, so 4 players.
I will take 4 diamonds and leave the strikers until next season. Yeah.
Right.
So if, for instance, if he signs Lacazette to another year on his contract, we don't need a striker. I know it wouldn't be perfect, but what I would be prepared to do, and bearing in mind he's going to need another season with another transfer window, is to say, let's wait on a striker till next season.
Right. Okay. So here's the question for you, though. You seem to be comfortable with your front players. Saka, Smith-Rowe, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, Martinelli. We have scored. Well, no, you guys have scored because I'm not an Arsenal fan today. You scored 50. You have scored 50 goals this season. Man City has scored 76 goals playing a number 9. Don't you think that there's deficiency there? They may look good on paper, but is that sufficient if you want to win the league? And Man City's goal tally, by the way, is not the best. You know, it's probably much less than in prior seasons that they've scored. Man U scored 70 goals, Leicester 65 with Vardy not firing, Chelsea 55 with Warner not firing, 61 by Liverpool with Firmino not firing, but he never really truly fired. But so you have scored 50 goals, right? With the highest paid front line in the league. Don't you need help up front?
Can I address that point? So
Yes,
my manager, who is also your manager, and you know this, chose to spend most of the season playing a player who couldn't score a goal for love nor money. He could barely create a goal. And you know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah? The W man. So your manager, my manager, decided to spend most of the season with a depleted front 4. Secondly, Aubameyang has had his worst season in years. And despite his goal tally over the previous 2 seasons, his play outside of scoring goals is next to 0. You and I both agree on that. If he doesn't score goals, he's pretty much an irrelevant player on the pitch. So if you double Willian and Aubameyang on the pitch, you're playing with 9 men.
Yeah. That's fair. Yes. So I'll say a couple of things before we move on to another topic, because we can talk about Arsenal. And I did say 20 minutes, and we could spend much longer than 20 minutes. So a few things. One is the parts don't fit together for Arsenal. It's very jumbled, right? You're right about left back backup. Tierney is very injury prone. You need a really good left back because he won't play half the games or struggle to play half the games. And he's been injured since he's been at Celtic, frankly. 3 seasons in a row he's been injured. And even more serious at Celtic. The right back situation is a calamity. We brought in a player on a 4-year deal with a free transfer, and our centre half / Fulham centre midfielder, our right back who's not playing well, who wants to leave, and he's playing his right winger / Lever Saka at right back in a game on Wednesday because he doesn't trust any of his right back, including the one we just gave a 4-year deal to. So that's how Arsenal is. We give long-term contracts to William, to Cedric and others, and it doesn't really work out well because they're not good enough. So I would say is that we have to revisit the entirety of the team. There are players out on loan like Mavropanos, Saliba, even Joe Willock, who has scored in 5 games in a row against the West Ham, Liverpool, Tottenham, Leicester. Let me repeat those names again.
And Man
Those
City
are the
tonight.
teams-
And Man City tonight.
And Man City tonight, frankly. Well, it was a penalty, so I thought from open play. And he created the penalty himself. So, and he's not rated. By the way, let me just say this for Apollo and myself. We both are Willock fan. We have said that repeatedly. Some others say he should be sold, don't rate him. He may be sold. Hopefully we have a buyback clause to get funds. But I'm not sure we've done the best job with our team. Now, having said that, we need the players like Neil mentioned, like St. Maximin. A player who's unmarkable, I call him. When he has 3 players around him, he smiles and says, you need to bring a 4 to stop me because you 3 can't continue. And in the open space, we were at City today, they had 19% possession at one point, and they still scored 3 goals.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Aki was responsible for a couple of those goals, but regardless, and they didn't have their best defenders tonight, against any team you have 90%, you shouldn't even be close to scoring. They scored 3 goals, probably could have had a 4th. So Arsenal is in trouble. So Tony, the last question on this is, now you have made those acquisitions, where does that get you? So I expect Neil to compete for the title. I expect Drew to compete for the title with where is going to get Arsenal?
It's obvious. We ain't going to win the title in a season. That team would need 4 additions in one summer, which would be amazing if it happens. I'm hoping, crossing fingers. But as I said, I'm expecting a transitional season. I'm expecting players to be fighting to build their place in the side, to start building, play where, the left winger and the left back can work together. I don't expect anything greater than 5th place.
5th place? But you
Fifth
haven't made
place.
Champions League in the last 5 seasons.
I don't expect us to make Champions League.
Wow. Okay. So is Arsenal now a mid-table team?
We are right now, yeah, of course.
No, I mean in terms of the not necessarily where we are now, but in general.
We are a mid-table team. 2 seasons on the trot, we finished mid-table.
Okay. I can't disagree with that. So we'll leave Arsenal because we can't fix something that's irreparable. If it's broken, you can't fix it.
It's terrible. Just need to get a couple of Neil strikers.
Sure.
Yeah, send a couple of strikers.
Listen,
over,
Origi's
man.
on his way. Origi's already on his way, yeah?
So Apollo is saying here, yeah, Origi. Drew has 3 questions. Can you pose those questions, Apollo? So Drew, you're player of the season.
Player of the season. Drew, that's actually really tough.
That's easy, Drew.
No, right. So here's the thing. Right. Ederson has been fantastic all season. Diaz, I think, has had a similar kind of impact to what Van Dijk had at Liverpool. Close to what Stam had at Old Trafford when he came in as well, which I think Van Dijk actually had at Liverpool as well. But do you know what? My heart really, really wants to say Phil Foden. But he's going to win Young Player of the Season anyway, so I'd have to say Diaz has probably been the most influential player in the league this season.
Right.
Oh, and first person I'd sell, by the way, definitely Mendy.
He can come to Arsenal. He could come to Arsenal. I would take him.
Nah. He would get contaminated. He would get contaminated and start not scoring just like the rest of them.
I mean, I don't want to damage Torres's career by sending him out to
exactly. Exactly. I would think Diaz is your player of the season by a good distance. Actually, Edison is excellent. Foden has been brilliant, but I think Diaz has been dominant. Who do you think, Neil and Tony? Neil, who do you think has been City's player of the season?
City's players of the season, to be honest, Diaz has been really, really good. But I'm not sure why, but Foden's always caught my eye, and I would have gone for Foden personally.
Okay.
I think seriously, I'd love him to be at Liverpool. I would love him to be at Liverpool because that's the sort of youth that that you want in a team. Yeah, and I'd rather him.
So isn't that unfair, Tony? Before I say this, Tony, who do you think is the player of the season for City?
I'm surprised nobody's mentioned Riyad Mahrez.
Mahrez has been good.
Do you know what?
Been
If there was an award in the Premiership for the most improved player, it would be Mahrez, because he has gone from being. I mean, at the start of the season, I was spitting feathers whenever Mahrez would play. He was selfish. He didn't bring a huge amount to the team. The past 3 or 4 months, Mahrez has been almost unplayable at times. I
don't think he's improved.
He's become a different player.
It's not easy
14 goals, 7 assists this season.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily improved. It's playing time.
Well, yeah.
So he's getting playing time, consistent playing time. His confidence is up. Just like he was at Leicester. He plays in the African Cup for his country. He plays brilliant football. He's getting playing time, his confidence. And he's also playing both ways. Because initially he didn't play defense at all. He didn't run back. He just stayed up there. Now he's realized he has to play both ways to get game. And he's keeping Sterling out of the team, frankly. Both he and Foden, frankly, are keeping Sterling out of the team. So no, it's good. I think Apollo is saying Walcott had a good season too in 2014, and now he's scoring 2 goals in a season for Southampton. I'm a Walcott fan, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Walcott fan. I love Theo. I used to go to Emirates and watch him. He's a good player. Just didn't learn how to play football, frankly. So he didn't. He did. I mean, his speed was everything. It's like Aubameyang who don't know how to play football either. I don't know how to play football. I mean, he's a goal scorer. Same as Theo. Quick, put the ball in the net, can't hold the ball up, doesn't necessarily get in space as much, don't play any defense, can't beat a man to save his life. That's Theo. So let's talk about we have games coming up, frankly, even though I think most of them are, it's like tonight's game with Newcastle, they really doesn't really matter. There are the only few that matters. We talked about. I heard you, Apollo. But you know what, Apollo? That Arsenal team, you and I could get an assist in that team. They created chances in abundance. Chances all over. Van Persie, Theo, Wilshere, Fabregas. They're creating chances galore. 15, 20, 30 chances a game. So you should be able to create an assist when people are wide open. But no, I love Theo, frankly. And I do watch Theo now play for Southampton and when he's with Everton, just like I watch all Willock's games, most of them anyway. So we have some games coming up. I'm going to try to figure out which ones we should care about. And most of these this weekend.
Literally, this weekend is FA Cup final. That is it. It is the worst weekend. One game I mentioned is I'm really struggling. It's West Brom Liverpool, because that's some meaning, right? West Brom Liverpool has a meaning. So I'm just going to ask Neil, not even the rest of the panel, what's your view on that game, Neil? West Brom has nothing to play for, and they've been decent of late.
West Brom have nothing to lose, so I think they're really going to give Liverpool a tough game. Liverpool, pen on paper, they should really just beat them at least 3-4-0. But if you look at the past 5-6 seasons, when Liverpool play a bottom side team, they drop points. I'm really nervous about this. Liverpool should still win, but West Brom will give them a good game. They've got nothing to lose, and because they're practically, they're relegated anyway, they've got to prove to the Championship that they're going to be a team to reckon with next season.
Yeah, so Apollo is saying Alex Song 16 assists, and now we have Ceballos and Xhaka have 3 assists. So Apollo is reminiscing about the good old days when Arsenal was relevant. I have actually moved on. I hate to live in the past. whether it's Alex Song or Fabregas or Van Persie, before that, those great players, we have been relevant for a while. 18 is saying, forget about Alex Song. The kid could pass. Which kid are you talking about, 18? Not sure what kid you're alluding to. Alex Song was a good player, and he had a great year. Oh, my God. Naomi says, shocking from Xhaka and Ceballos. I'm not sure they're shocking. We saw evidence of that, we've had them for a number of seasons now, especially Xhaka. I've been here, 3 or 4 seasons. And Ceballos wants to go to Real Betis, and we probably should have sent him a long time ago to go. Not sure if he missed his train or his plane, whatever it is he missed. But
COVID,
he needs to be on the train. we it's been an interesting season. I did say, and Apollo said at the beginning of the season, that we see a lot of parity, and we have seen that parity. So I'm going to touch upon a subject I find very sensitive. We've seen a lot of protests with Man U fans as related to their owner. And I think part of that protest is not really Super League. It's more about they want ownership change. So what's your view on that? Should the fans continue to demonstrate, to really try to pressure ownership to be changed in Man U or even Arsenal? Or should they have a reality check, which is that may not happen, and support their teams? What's your perspective? I'll start with Drew. You don't have that issue, Drew. You guys were part of the SL, and it's almost like nothing happened because you won, and it's about winning.
Right. That is the thing. Football is all about winning. I mean, we can say it's about the soul of our club, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a shit, really. It's about winning. And that's the thing that Man United and Arsenal haven't been consistently able to do for a long time now. Now, I'm not going to say that Arsenal need a change of ownership just yet, because Kroenke's been there, what, is it 3.5, 4 years now as the owner?
More than that.
No, over 10 years. No,
Yeah,
it's over 10 years.
Way more than that.
No, it's probably about
10
after
years.
Dean left, right? It's more than 10 years.
It's more than 10 years.
Oh, yeah, no.
More than 10 years.
Right, so he's been a
full
shareholder
ownership.
for that then.
He bought Asimov. So he bought Asimov and then he took full ownership.
Yeah. With the Glazers, though, at United, they've spent the best part now of nearly 20 years draining and sucking that club dry. I think United fans have every right to be protesting, because, I mean, what have we seen them do? They buy one expensive player per season, great, but they're not developing their squad anymore. The United of old used to be constantly developing, constantly evolving, always doing something new. They're not doing it anymore. They're just sucking money out of the club. They're sucking quality out of the club. I mean, I've got a real issue with the Glazers above any other owner in the Premiership, which shocks me to say, because I really don't like Man United. But
over Abramovich, really?
We don't have a podcast long enough to get into Abramovich. But I mean, Abramovich has other issues in comparison to the Glazers, though, like his inability to stick with a manager and then actually back a manager when they need to be backed. Looking at Frank Lampard, quite frankly, because I think he got screwed over with the Chelsea job. I don't think he should have ever had the Chelsea job, but I think he got screwed in the long run by it as well. But yeah, I fully support the United fans protesting. It's got nothing to do with Super League, because I mean, I'm still not sure how bad an idea the Super League was. It had definite merits to it, definite drawbacks, but there were merits to the idea of it. One of which, for you Arsenal fans, would have been to put you in a position where you can't be relegated. Or
no, I just call
money.
it be relevant. Be relevant. We'd be relevant.
Yeah.
We'd be relevant.
But yeah, I think United fans have every right to be kicking up shit, quite frankly, about the way they're being treated. I mean, you look at the American owners down at Liverpool. Well, they've done what the Glazers have never done. They have backed managers. They have put money into the club. They've made the club better. They've brought the club forward to a point that they weren't in a decade ago. United are just going backwards.
Is that by design, or are they just very lucky?
That's what I'm going to say. Exactly.
Okay.
Well.
When you talk about the Liverpool owners, unfortunately, in my view, and this is no diss at any Americans that I know, but the Americans have a different view of what business is and how to make money from their sports. You look at the way it's done in America and you look at the way it's done over here, it won't work over here. But they still come over with the idea that they're going to do exactly what they do in the States is what they do over here. We don't have that fan base for a start. Yeah. Yes, there is money coming in from sponsors, but it's you can't have a bank over here that would put the amount of money that the American banks will put into sports. This is a real sore point for me. When Hicks and Gillette bought Liverpool, we all thought, yeah, this is going to be great. They're going to put loads and loads of money in. And what those pillocks did was keep making loans and then putting it against the club. The club got to a state where they were so close to administration. Had FSG not come in, Liverpool, I don't think Liverpool will be around. Yeah, financially, we were in a serious state and we were that close to not existing anymore. It was great when FSG come in, but FSG aren't much better. Yes, they came in, they brought the club back from the brink. They put some money in, but not enough. Yeah, not enough. They did the same thing. They say to the managers that they back, we'll give you a little bit of money, but if you want to make money, you have to bring somebody in, build them up, sell them, and make your money that way. And that's very difficult to do when you're trying to compete with money bag teams like Chelsea and Man City, and trying to call yourself one of the best in the world. It's very difficult to do. To me, FSG are good, but they're not as good as they should be, and they haven't done as well as I think they should have done.
What's your view, Tony? We're in business finance 101 tonight.
Okay.
I'm enjoying this. Go ahead, Tony.
So I'm a bit of both of Drew and Neil, because Neil, you're absolutely 100% right about American business sports not having the right model to work with European football. It doesn't work. I mean, Man City. I mean, you mentioned, Drew, about the Abramovich scenario, and I was interested to hear what you said. But as far as I'm concerned, Abramovich is a winner. Yeah, I've already picked him to win the Champions League, just by a nick over you guys this next few coming weeks. And if that should happen, once again, you will be looking and saying, he's thrown his dirty money again at the Chelsea team, buying all these players last summer. Remember, they were on a ban before. And he's turned over a manager. So you might say he shafted Lampard. But you know what? If he wins the FA Cup tomorrow and they win the Champions League next week, everybody to a man will say, Abramovich, you've done it again. And history shows us he turns over managers who win the Champions League. You win the Champions League, and the next month you're out the door. And it works. Chelsea just works. Abramovich is a horrible owner, but he's also a fantastic owner, because he doesn't take fools kindly, and he doesn't stand for mediocrity. Yeah, when a player starts to underperform, you're out. See ya. Go to the wasteland, David Luiz, Willian. Yeah, and I'll bring you in some quality. So as far as the protests are concerned, we must all continue to protest against shoddy management. Yeah, so I agree with you, Neil, in relation to the Glazers and the FSG and the Cronkies. These guys do not understand European, specifically English league financial requirements to run their clubs. And that's why we must continue to protest. But there's more than that. There's a lot of other reasons. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the way that they interact with their clubs. I mean, in all honesty, FSG do it better than probably all of us. But certainly at Arsenal, this company, Cronky, KSE, just basically don't have any interaction with the fans sufficient to allow us to be called fans.
So a couple of things. One is I struggle with the fans in the UK, and here is why: because a business is a business is a business.
No.
Let me finish, Tony. I understand the fans' passion with sport. We think it's different from regular life. I understand the socialist concept, which is egalitarian, a system where everyone gets a chance to succeed, even though frankly in Europe is not reality. It's a pie in the sky concept. I'm not necessarily the promoter of capitalism in its purest form. I think, like most systems, it needs to be tinkered with. But I don't want to lecture in terms of system of government our system, economic system. But what I'll say is this: is that Man U fans will protest, but they have one of two choices. They can protest and don't go to the games and have the team run down. Because I doubt the Glazers will sell. You can't pressure American owners to do what they don't want to do. Right? You can't pressure them to do what they don't want to do because they're billionaires. Here we go. No, it's not. It's Bertram. It's got it wrong. So I'm cranky tonight anyway. I'm cranky tonight. My crushable in Bertram. But no, frankly, the end of the matter is you can't force them to do what they don't want to do. Second, FSG is a private equity firm. So private equity firms are not necessarily just billionaires own them. Pension funds contribute money. You and I may contribute money to a retirement account. Their job is to go into it. I'm giving you finance 101. Go into an area, invest for 4 or 5 years, let the asset appreciate, take their money out, right? FSG actually stays longer. They bought the Boston Red Sox, but they're getting money out of the Red Sox, so they're in that business. They hadn't won a title for 100 years. They use data analytics, and they're about to win a title for the Boston Red Sox, or baseball team. They have not come to Liverpool. And as Neil said, they've been lucky with the Suarez and Coutinho deals that could get them Alisson and could get them Van Dijk, which then allow them to, with Klopp's genius in buying players for less than 40 mil, with the Salahs and the Manes of the world and the Oxlade-Chambers of the world, because they're all in the same price range. They increase their commercial viability and their commercial deals to get more money in, just like Tottenham done with their new stadium. So they can afford to invest more in the team. They don't pay the best wages. They don't pay like Arsenal does, frankly. So their team can afford to be sustainable. You have to be a self-sustaining club like Arsenal is. Arsenal's problem is they're poor in buying talent. Most talent they buy, they don't. When does Arsenal sell a player? I think our best sale has been who? What's his name from the Dutch player?
Was that Henry? Henry was your best player, isn't it?
No. The best price for a player we have sold is Overmars.
Yeah.
It's Overmars and I think Oxlade-Chamberlain. You think about
No, it's Anelka.
Yeah, it's got to be Nicholas.
Not what I thought. No, check the stat. The last time I checked was Overmars.
No.
We sold Anelka to Real Madrid. We sold Anelka to Real Madrid, but the last time I checked was Overmars and Oxlade-Chamberlain. Maybe it's in today's dollars, so go back and check. But we've never. No, it wasn't 40 million. I thought it was 40 million. Last time I checked was 28.
35
plus 28 plus add-ons. It wasn't 40 million. That's what the media quote as the highest price, given out add-ons. It wasn't the price. So let's put it this way: we haven't sold a player for over 50 million pounds. Let me repeat that: we haven't sold a player for over 50 million. How much you got for Coutinho? 100 plus. How many for Suarez? About what? 75 plus.
Yeah.
But Bertram, if you count inflation, then Anelka was over 50 million.
I check the number. What was Anelka? Look up the Anelka number. I can't remember him being a big number.
25 million after we paid $250,000.
So 25 million. So if you do it in today's dollars, probably about 50, frankly. But I'm just saying, in terms of pure numbers, forget about the inflation adjuster and present value of money. We haven't sold a player for over 50 million pounds. Period. In our history, it tells you something. We buy players for 30. We have bought a couple over 50 now. We haven't sold a player. And we said we have the best academy. So where are those players coming through with that quality that you can then sell on to reinvest in your team? Now, I'll say this about American owners. They're capitalists through and through. And guys, think about ownership in the UK. So the reason why the Premier League dominates is because the quality has improved significantly since the 70s. Serie A was dominant. We have now gone to Premier League being dominant because more money is invested because the quality is good. Individuals see potential for generating profits, so they invest in it. If you change that construct, it will not be the same league. Period. Juventus is struggling. Real Madrid and Barcelona have no idea what they haven't bought this year. That's why they're struggling. That's why La Liga is competitive. Because they don't have any money. Because the commercial deals have dried up. And they don't have rich owners. Drew has oil money. Neymar has oil money. And Abramovich money is no longer dirty, Tony, by the way. It's now clean. It's what they call you place it, you layer it, and you take it out. It's not clean money. It's no longer dirty money.
It's already finished its spin cycle in the laundry, yeah?
Yes. It's no longer dirty money. And by the way, this whole thing about, I am so moral in the UK, where was the morality and the protests with Chelsea fans when Abramovich came in? When you where his money come from? Where's that morality coming from? You hate the Super League and the green American owners. At least their money's clean. Where's that morality come from I'm on my soliloquy now.
Sorry, mate.
The ESL, I've got nothing against it.
Bertram. We as football fans, we can't dictate to our club who we allow in. you know, it's like government. You're given the perception of democracy, yeah, but reality is you don't have a damn idea about democracy.
So why
Real democracy ain't democracy. People are voting on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris don't have a choice over
Tony,
what they do when they get into government.
So
Yeah?
Tony, here's my point.
For Boris Johnson or vote for Sadiq Khan don't have a goddamn choice what they do when they get into government. It's just a fallacy of democracy.
Yes. So Tony, here's the thing. And democracy sometimes is not always good, by the way. That sounds like a heresy, but I'm telling you. And you can see what China's progress is versus India. It's a good comparison to tell you what democracy doesn't work, and it really does. And I'm not supporting any form of government, right? I'm just saying, look at some situations and tell me. So Robbie, I hear listen to FTV, and they basically say, oh, we should put people on the board for Arsenal. We should have a say in the club. Who tells Robbie how to run AFTV? Can you and I go join AFTV and tell them to run AFTV? Why would a fan think they have the audacity for some board to put them on their board and have them run their company? Where were they? So you contribute your money to Arsenal to go to a game. Don't you contribute your money to Amazon? Don't you contribute your money to Sky? Don't you contribute? You have to pay a television tax for BBC. So I struggle with the concept and the ideas we're proposing about fans' ownership of team or fans' right to protest. You have their right to protest. But look at the rest of society and tell me where you have that same level of influence you're asking for in your football team. So, Drew, what's your perspective on this? Because I know you have perspective on all of this.
When it comes to fan ownership, so people keep pointing to the 51% over in Germany. Germany's an uncompetitive league. I mean, that tells you everything. Fan ownership's a great idea. I mean, I class myself as one of these socialists. But it doesn't work in football. Football is a business. You cannot have socialism in business. It would not work in any way, shape, or form. Fan ownership it'd be a really nice little idea for a couple of seasons until everyone realizes, oh, actually, we're not helping our clubs by being involved in the decision-making process here. I mean, it'd be great if we could all be involved in it, but we would just overly complicate the scenario. We'd end up with the teams falling backwards that are out there at the moment. It wouldn't help long term to have it. You need owners who actually have a sense of what they want to do with a club, owners that know what money they want to put into a club. It's like, I'm going to sound a little bit gloaty when I say it, but owners like Man City, they know what they want to do with their money. Yeah, some of it's a little bit. I don't like certain things that they do, but the fact is they've only ever done things that benefited the club. I've got issues with Roman Abramovich, but again, he has put money into the club where it's needed. He's grown the club. He's looking to invest in the club. So I can't take issue on those kind of things with owners like that. But the idea of fan ownership, though, it would not work in the Premiership. It just wouldn't. I don't think it works in Germany.
Yeah. So I go to Neil next. I'll just say this. What I really find interesting is that I haven't seen any new tech money coming into football, which I find interesting. When I think about all the new tech billionaires, I haven't seen that money come into football. And I would assume one of the reasons why is they may not necessarily love the sport or sport ownership, but also they can't see where they're going to return on the investment. Because God forbid,
new tech.
Yeah, but Daniel doesn't have. He's not really. No. He's Spotify and he's tech. But here's the thing: he's not realistic. He hasn't. I don't think he sees the big picture. He may think he does, but here's the thing, Tony. So he comes in. What does he do? Does he spend his own money or does he borrow to finance the acquisition of Arsenal?
Of course, he's not going to. Of course, he's not going to use his own money. This is the thing. We're making assumptions that you need to own. You have to own the club by using your own money. Nobody does that.
So here's the thing.
Bad business.
Yes.
I go to the bank and I say, I want
to
withdraw all my money out of my account to buy a football club. Your bank manager's going to go, you're an ass.
So here's the two points about that. I'll come to you, Neil, next. Here's 2 points. One is if you don't use your own money, then you have to use debt. And Man U fans have complained that the Glazers have inundated them with debt. right? So and debt is big. If you're gonna buy a football team, it's $2 billion. If you put $1 billion, you still gotta borrow $1 billion. Eck is only worth $3 to $4 billion. Most of it in liquid assets because it's in Spotify shares. So if you go buy a club, you gotta go sell his shares. And why would you sell his share to buy a football club when you can't even take money out? Because they're telling you you can't take money out your own. You can't take money out your own club, your own investment, right? So you can't take money out, but I just should then buy it with my own money. So why am I doing this? Because I'm altruistic. It's a fan I'm trying to support, not my own family and myself. I work hard for my money. Very interesting. So Neil, going to get your perspective on this because I find it very challenging to sort out fans' perspective on this.
To be honest, looking at the old model where somebody comes in, they borrow money, they inject into the club, that has worked and it's always worked. Providing that those owners do not get too greedy. And I will go back to Liverpool being owned by, I call him Dix and Gillett, but it's Hicks and Gillett. And that's purely because those guys got too greedy, yeah? And they put the club at such a risk. The majority of the owners out there, they don't actually go that far. And if they feel they haven't made enough, they put the club up for sale and they get their money back. But owners need to understand that with football, you're never going to earn that money back that you put into a club. If you put your personal money into the club, it will take you years before you see that back. Owners like Abramovich, yes, it's very questionable about the type of money he put into the club, but a lot of that money he put was his own money. Yeah, it was Chelsea was his plaything, and I believe the same thing with the City owners as well.
Well,
it's their
I
plaything.
say this, Neil, it was the Russian people money, but keep going.
Yeah. All right, okay. It belonged to at least more than one Russian, yeah. But he was in charge. But he was in charge of that money, yeah.
Yes, he was in charge of the money.
He was in charge of that money, yeah. And as we know, he had a very big washing machine and dryer, yeah. But say no more about that, yeah.
Right. No, I agree.
Yeah, when it comes to fan ownership, we as fans, we speak with our heart, and we like to understand that our way of thinking and how the club should be run and what sort of money should go into it. We always like to think that we know what's best, but from a business point of view, a lot of us don't. That's why the owners do what they do. And I understand that, but as long as they don't get too greedy or put the club at too much risk and make the club successful over years, I think that model should stick. I don't think the fans should get involved in that respect. But having somebody on the board who's a fan to give their input and that being listened to, that's what I think should happen.
Yeah, so I do listen to a lot of UK sports programming, whether it's Talk Sports, otherwise. I watch Gary Neville, I watch Lineker, I watch all those sort of programs. The best person I've heard, the most articulate person, and probably the smartest, frankly, who makes the most sense, who break down complex things really easily, is Jordan from Talk Sports, Simon Jordan. Now, some people say, I don't like Jordan, he's pompous, he's elitist. Always in life, try to listen to people who make sense, who nothing's too complex for them to explain and make it very simplified. Just see through the nonsense, see through the facade and look for the substance. And he makes a lot of sense. And he was an owner, he lost his team, so obviously he's something that as brilliant as you think he is, but he does make a lot of sense sometimes. And I listened to him speak and I said, I listened to him and Jim White, and Jim's a typical journalist. Even more than a journalist, is the same type of UK journalist, very sensationalism, doesn't really misconstrue what you say a lot of times, position information in the wrong way sometimes, that's not what is meant, because I hear him talk about certain things, I hear him and Simon get into it, but I listen to them early in the morning when I get up to go to work, and I find it really interesting when he articulates certain things, and fans should listen to him. All those fans who are pontificating and say owners should spend money, listen to what he has said. He has lost the team, but he's more of a realist and have a good understanding of how the process works. And UK fans should be appreciative of new ownership because you have displaced the Serie A. You've actually displaced La Liga. People don't watch La Liga unless it's Real Madrid and Barcelona. And even this year, I haven't watched even a Clasico, frankly, because it's not important. It's unimportant. It doesn't interest me as much. The Premier League, even this year, even though you may think it's been a little bit watered down, the parity, the competitiveness, the speed of the game, the talent and skill level is exceptional compared to any other league. And why is that? Because there's more money in the game in the UK and more money to be made than any other league. La Liga doesn't have a sponsor. They had a Chinese company who came in, pulled out because they ran the bankruptcy. Inter Milan, Chinese ownership. You never sure about those ownership because the government can take away their business at any point in time. And they won the Liga. They probably don't have a good team next year. They may have to break that team up. You have more sustainable income, more sustainable ownership. And American owners normally are, apart from the past Liverpool owner, frankly, in most cases. But you have new money coming in. But no, it's a different construct, which is if you want your league, yeah, and 12 million is not a lot of money in today's environment, by the way. He's broke. If you want your league no, it isn't. 12 million pounds is pittance in today's environment for people who used to own football league. That means you have disposable money, frankly. So I would say this is that I hope the Premier League continue to get new ownership in. And because if I'm a West Ham fan, where do you go from there if you're a West Ham fan? Maybe if you're Everton with your Egyptian owner and you have Asimov there, you can build a new stadium. Also, maybe same money as Abramovich, but people don't care about that. But most other teams can't What's Spurs going to do? Spurs may have a good stadium, but unless they get people back in that stadium, they won't get the money to be able to fund their team. So they're going to be like Arsenal, going in one direction. Our owner has money, he just don't want to spend it. And frankly, I don't blame him because I'm not going to spend my money on something which I have no return in. So I'll say this is I hope the league continues to get new blood in terms of ownership. And I hope fans become more realistic because when you have a profitable venture and a profitable business, people going to buy into it, but they want to take money out. So don't think people shouldn't take money out.
But Bertram, just to retort to that argument, the only way you make money back as an owner of a football club is by making your team successful. Yeah, you win the Champions League, you get the financial reward. You get to the FA Cup final, you get the financial reward. So this whole fallacy of, oh, you can't make money out of football, I'm sorry, it's wrong. Man City's take home at the end of this season, I'm sure will triple Arsenal's income just based on the fact they're the league champions and they're in the Champions League final.
So, yeah? Tony, couple of things, Tony.
Look at the money that you get from being at the top end of the competitions.
Yeah, so Tony, a couple of things. One is, I don't disagree that success breeds more success, generate more commercial revenues, not necessarily at the gate, allow you to bet. But let me just say this. Most money you make from football teams is what they call appreciation. I mean, the value goes up. It's not from present income. Here's why. Man City doesn't make money. Man City commercial ventures, they put in their own money and call it advertising money, promotional money. That's why they got in trouble, label it that way. And then what they do is they say, well, it's money coming in independently. It's commercial money. It's on the books. So they take it from the right pocket, put it in the left pocket. Frankly, that's what they do. And they say they make net profits at the end of the story. That's not real money. Abramovich lends Chelsea money. Look at their financials.
Yep.
Lends it. So that debt is going up, but it's his debt. It's going from his right pocket to his left pocket.
Yep.
So in essence, it's not really making money. You make money from the value going up, but it's long-term investment. And some people want dividends. We don't want money just from appreciation. You buy a stock today, Tony, the stock price is going to be getting no money. You want dividends. So you buy Microsoft, you buy GE. You don't buy some stock that's not going to give you dividends. Or you buy a bond that gives you interest. That's conceptually what you do. And that's what they're trying to do with their football team, right? They want to put money like the Glazers do. And we're saying, hey, no, you can't do that. That's not how we operate here in the UK. So I do want that. I want us to have harmony because it's a great product. And as we see with Syria, you can lose that product. You can lose that value you have, and you can lose that whole holistic perspective of, you know what, we're the best league, we have the best players. They gravitate towards us. Frankly, I don't see another European league to be able to do that because one is English is a real equalizer, frankly, in terms of language and commonality. The German league has one team. La Liga has 2.5 teams. And Syria had one, which is now probably going to make the Champions League, so I'm not sure what they're going to do. But the Premier League going to be on top for a while, and we all got to hope that my and Tony's team become relevant. I have no idea when that's going to happen. My hope, Tony, is that we employ a man like Klopp.
2 years.
Here's my last question, guys. Who do you think is a better manager, Guardiola or Klopp? And I'll start with Drew. My last point for the day.
That's a nasty question. if I'm completely honest, right, Klopp can get more out of less. But if you said to me that I had to pick one to manage my team, manage the finances, bring through the players, I would have to pick Guardiola. His record, we can say all about money all we want, you still have to get those performances out of players, and that is something that Pep has always managed to do.
Can I go next?
Yeah, you go next. And neither of you will surprise me, by the way. None of you will surprise me your answer. Go ahead.
Okay, right. Okay, so out the two, Klopp hands down. The reason why I say that is I don't think Pep has actually proved what he can actually do, because if you look at the teams that Pep has gone, those teams were all prepared and they were champions before he got there, right? So he hasn't done that much. I mean, I was having this conversation with another person in the group, and I said, what I'd love to see, just as an experiment, is if you put Klopp and Guardiola in the championship with a mid-table team, who would get that team up higher up the league and even get them promoted to the Premiership? Definitely Klopp, because Klopp's proved he can do that with a team. Guardiola hasn't done that yet. Yeah, he has not done that. All he's done is he's gone somewhere that's been successful. And the funny thing is, City were champions when he went there. And what happened is in his first season, they didn't win it.
One second.
Can I just say one thing? Sorry about Pep.
One second.
Yeah.
When you put I'm asking the audience to indicate who you think is a better manager and why. Not just say Guardiola, Klopp, but just give some. I know it's hard to type in long sentences, but just indicate also brief synopsis as to why you think that is. Go ahead, Drew. Sorry.
Right. I always hear the argument of Pep hasn't done it lower down. Pep has a Spanish third division title. He has done it with a lower league team. Granted, it was Barcelona B. But the important thing is, the thing is though, he spent no money at that level. He won it with a group of under-23s.
Right.
I can't believe you said that, Drew.
No. Hey, look. Drew you have to stretch Tony. He has to reach someplace. No, Drew, a good point, Drew. I didn't know that, Drew.
No, I'll be honest though. The thing that discredits Pep for me more than anything, the only reason I don't love Pep at times, it's the Bayern Munich one. You can't claim to be great if you've managed Bayern Munich.
No. Let me tell you about that third division title. Barcelona got relegated. They were supposed to be, but they were supposed to be in League 2. Yeah? Yep. Winning League 3 is like taking Rangers from the Scottish Prem, putting them in the second division, and then all of a sudden they're competing and winning the Scottish second division.
So Tony, I'll say this.
You're a Premier League team.
Tony, I'll say this, giving Drew's analogy, which is Eddie Howe should be the best manager ever. Eddie Howe, who took a team from what? Maybe the National League, wherever he's taken for, and went to the Premier League and kept them for a while. That's brilliant managing.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
That's brilliant managing.
No, it's true. It's true. And I agree with that. Guardiola hasn't done that.
No.
He hasn't done that. He hasn't proved that. I'm not saying he can't do it. He just, up until now, he has not done that. He can't. He hasn't proved it. He hasn't proved what he can actually do, because, as I said, the work was always done before he got there. All he had to do was just keep them there, which wasn't very difficult for him to do. You have the champions, the best club in that league. Yeah, they've been winning the league before you got there. Yeah, for you not to win the league, that shows how bad you are, rather than how good you are in that same squad. Yeah. And as I said, when he came to City, right, all he had to do was just say, I'm going to play the same team, go win the league. They did not win it in their first season under him. And that kind of made me kind of think, well, hold on. That's when I started thinking, where has he been? What is that he actually done? And you look at, he's been at the top teams.
The first season, though, was a massive upheaval. We just lost Yaya Toure. Company was out injured for the entire season. A lot of our team was in a transitional period. We were selling a lot of players. We had to bring a lot of players to bed in. It doesn't justify us spending the amount of money we spent and not winning the league. It doesn't. We should have won the league. We spent, I think, it was 250 million.
Yeah, but considering he's supposed to be the best manager and he's just come from a couple of teams that were at the top and winning their leagues, that should have been a walk in the park for him. Yeah, the Premier League is one of the hardest leagues to win. Yeah, and he actually knew what he was at. He actually realised what the league was all about. He couldn't just walk in and just win the league with the team that was already there. But
So
that
Neil-
should have been easy for him to do.
So Neil, here's a point about this is Andrew saying, take Barcelona. Look at all go back to the previous comment, Apollo, from Andrew?
Andrew Roach.
That was basically saying that take Barcelona. Look at all the managers since he left. Who was immediately installed after him with essentially the same squad. So are you saying, Andrew, that they didn't win or they won subsequent to him leaving?
I think they did win. They continued to win
I think
even
they did
after
win.
Pep left.
Yeah,
They've continued to win La Liga, but then steadily declining in European terms.
Yeah.
So they
That's
won
way
with
off.
Neymar,
We're talking
right?
10
They won
years
with
later.
Neymar.
They
They
won
won-
with
that was-
Neymar, yeah.
No, they won with Neymar. Yeah. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, I asked the question for a reason because I hear a ton of people just laud Guardiola to death, and all I'm thinking about, he went to Bayern, who won that league, and Tony and I could coach them and win that league. So could you, Neil and Drew, and still win the league because I should just roll the ball out and you have the best players. But he never won the Champions League. And look, he's going to win the Champions League when he was at Bayern. And at City, he sometimes had the best team and get knocked out like the Leons of the world because he overmanages. He does stuff crazy, like makes no sense. He goes to 3 at the back when he has a much better team. You sit there scratching your head thinking, that's why I look at Arteta sometimes. That's why Arteta gets his strategy from. And those strategies don't work. Playing false 9 when his midfield hasn't scored a goal in the eons makes absolutely no sense. Now, he has a brilliant team now who keeps the ball 24/7. So it's easier for him now to get success because you can't get the ball off them. But, Tuchel is going to give him a run for his money in the next 2 weeks when they play. But I think, for me, Klopp is a brilliant manager. First of all, a brilliant talent evaluator. Salah was at Chelsea. Then went to Serie A, right? Wasn't doing brilliant. He did really, really well in Serie A, but not at Chelsea. Played for Marino, went there, and he's now a world beater. Mane was at Southampton. We all saw him. We all asked the question, why are you paying 30-something million for Mane?
Yeah.
We see him play. He's a decent player. World beater. Right? He inherited Firmino. He knew what he wanted to win the title, which is a goalkeeper and a centre-half. He went out and got them. He won at Dortmund. Probably almost got relegated, but he won at Dortmund, but not necessarily the best team.
Yeah.
So, he has shown over time, and I think Arsenal would have been doing well to get him because we're not spending tons of money, and he buys prudently. Right? He buys prudently, put him in the right position to win. Look at Klopp when he first came. No, but think about this, Neil. He pressed up the field 100 miles an hour and realized next season, you know what? This is not working. I'm burning my team out.
Yeah, what I was going to say, you got to look at the way Liverpool played pre-Klopp under Rodgers. Didn't have any ballers as such. Loved to play the long ball. Didn't have the height for the end of that long ball. Klopp's basically threw that out the window, taught the players or showed the players how to play from the back outwards. And over the seasons, that's become more and more and more successful. And it became so successful, they won the Champions League under Klopp and they won the Premiership under Klopp. Purely from that. He's a genius. He knows what he's doing. I'm dreading the day that, he turns around and goes, you know what, I'm moving on. That's the day I'm really dreading right now.
Yeah, think about it. You mentioned it. He won the Champions League. He won the Premier League, having much less money than City to spend and much less money than Chelsea to spend. He's done a phenomenal job. I understand why City fans like Drew love Guardiola because he seems like he has a good mind. It seems like his strategy that he employs, even if he has the best players, does work. I do think he overmanages, and that gets him in trouble when he gets into competition, which is similar to his. Victor is saying, I think Apollo says Klopp, and I think someone before that says Guardiola. Kuke saying Klopp. My issue is Pep cannot do anything without money like
Mourinho. I call him Mourinho as well.
Andrew said 2 trebles. Alex Ferguson has been knighted and revered for winning 1 plus not as successful in Europe. But Andrew, here's the thing, and I hate to belabor this point. When I have Iniesta and Xavi and Messi and Pedro and Sanchez, and I can keep going and going
we've just included Pedro in that statement.
But he was good then. He was good.
He was good.
Everybody's good with Messi. He was good with Sanchez. Sanchez
yeah.
was smart.
Yeah, he was good. But you've literally just listed absolutely world-class players, and then Pedro.
No. What I'm saying is that because they're scoring goals. Sanchez wasn't in the starting team. Pedro started over Sanchez, and Sanchez was brilliant for us. I'm telling you, players when they were playing in the team, and look at their defense, right? They They had the best right back in the world. They had one of the better left back. Their centre halves were fabulous. They didn't need a goalkeeper. They could have played without a goalkeeper. Because you can get
They
the ball
basically did with Victor Valdez, didn't they?
No, Victor was good until he decided to leave and go to and become don't make any sense. But no way you would leave Barcelona team as a starter. But the point I'm trying to make is that he had a brilliant, probably one of the best, if not the best team ever, frankly, when he was at Barcelona.
Yeah.
Maybe the Neymar team is comparative. You can compare the Neymar team with Suarez and Messi.
No.
But that team was brilliant. And the team that had
I'll take
Messi,
Xavi and Iniesta over Neymar any
Oh my
day.
days!
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah, yeah.
those two players. Oh, what can you say? You can't say anything bad about them. They were
Nope.
brilliant, and a
brilliant.
lot of the times they were the unsung heroes of the team.
Yeah.
You know, they
yeah.
did so much, man. They did so much. I really wanted them to come to Liverpool. I knew it weren't going to happen, but I dreamt about it so many times.
And Apollo is saying Sanchez scored 19 goals on the bench. But Pedro came him out the team, by the way. Drew, that's for your information. Pedro came him out the team. 19 goals on the bench. So, guys, any last words? I'm going to go to Drew first. I mean, Drew, you can gloat again. 5 titles in 10 years is amazing, especially in a difficult league.
I mean, I'm incredibly happy. Obviously, it's been a long, hard journey, but finally, I can sit there with a sense of smugness and taunt every person that supports Man United that I work with, which is absolutely delightful. Yeah, next year is going to be a lot more interesting. I don't see us running away with it. I see Liverpool coming much, much closer.
Man United.
Do you know, I think Man United will be falling behind at least Liverpool and Chelsea again next season.
Man United aren't even the best team in Manchester.
But
they're
will
not
spend
even in
money.
Manchester.
But the best team,
They will spend money.
the best team is in Manchester.
If Man City don't get Harry Kane, Man United will.
Yes, but Harry Kane's not going to make that team a championship team.
No.
I don't think he will. The thing is, eventually someone's going to realise that Bruno Fernandes is not as good as everyone thinks he is.
Goals a season. Harry Kane's get you 30 a season if he went to Man United.
Yeah,
but it's those games where they concede, though. When United concede and fall apart, they really fall apart. Look at the Liverpool game yesterday.
Last night,
Yeah.
It's
so. Go ahead, Drew.
I don't see United signing anyone up front who's going to make a difference to them being ahead of Chelsea, Liverpool, and City next season.
You're joking, Drew. Why not? Man United are like Arsenal. They don't have a striker.
But they also don't have a solid defence at the moment.
Rashford has not hit 20 goals in a season.
No.
Martial is the second choice striker, and he gets less than Bruno Fernandes.
My problem will always be them defensively, though. That's my issue with United. At the moment,
no, they need a striker. Cavani ain't the answer, and I fully expect them to come out next summer and go hell for leather for a big time striker.
Neil, any passing words?
I don't see them getting Kane though.
Yeah. Final words. I'm looking forward to next season because this season's practically over, obviously. Next season's going to be something. I think Man United will kind of challenge, but they'll be fighting for 4th spot. Unfortunately, I see City doing it again as much as I want Liverpool to do it. If we get over our injuries, get all our players back and bring in a couple of players like St. Maximum and Traore, then Liverpool will be there or thereabouts next season. Watch out for Chelsea. They're going to improve a lot. If you guys, as in Arsenal, sort your politics out, you can get up there. And, to be honest, as much as I love teasing Arsenal fans, I do kind of miss the Gunners being there because that competition it's not the same. It's not the same without them, to be honest. But I'm glad that, they still struggle in Europe. But I shouldn't say that because Liverpool are doing that as well.
Neil, I have a question for you. Get up where? What are you talking about?
Up the league.
Top 4.
Top 4, man.
League top four. What
Fight
league?
for
But
top
the championship, we're not getting relegated. We're not getting relegated. We're not getting relegated. So we're not going to be no top four. We're not getting relegated.
If your owners sort their crap out, invest in the club properly, and back Arteta, you'll get there. You may not get there next season, but you'll be going in the right direction. That's all you need. Yeah, that's all
Neil
you
sounds
need.
like Martin Luther King. I may not get
I haven't.
That's what we need to encourage us, because we need help.
Yeah.
We need divine help. We need divine help. Tony, your last word.
Oh. So my closing comment is, let's go Leicester. Hopefully they get a win tomorrow. I'm going to be supporting the underdog. This season cannot finish quick enough for me. I'm just looking forward to the summer. For those who think Arsenal's management don't invest in the team, as Apollo has put up on the screen previously, we have the most expensive front three in the Premier League, yet still, and I'm pretty certain, there you go, 186 million. No other team has a front three that expensive. But I'm pretty sure they'll find some money this summer, from what I believe we've been hearing, that we may go out and we may be able to buy some big time players. But we have a reset season, because we have a season coming where we have no European football. And I think that benefits team. I know Man United benefited from it one season. Liverpool benefited from it one season. Chelsea benefited from it one season. So, we might benefit from it. But I'm not looking for anything other than top 5 next season. And in the season following, that's the make or break season.
So I say a couple of things. On the Man U point, actually, I do think the Glazers will invest some more money this year, just because of the fan protest. I'm telling you, the fans are forcing you to make decisions, because they have to justify, one, try to remediate the situation from the Super League. Second, realize that to compete with Man City, they'll have to invest, but invest wisely. As it relates to Arsenal, and by the way, Drew, I agree with you. I think Fernandes is the most overrated player in the Premier League. He cries a lot about getting kicked. He's always crying. When we played him twice, he disappeared, because if you play him too close and give him room, he can't play. But he's revered by the pundits, so we'll see what happens. And I think I'm a pretty good judge of talent. And he's overrated.
No, sorry, let me retort again. Bertram,
he's overrated.
Numbers don't lie.
He's overrated.
Don't lie. Yeah, he could be a bad player, but when your numbers are where his numbers are, you can't knock it. I mean, you couldn't knock Aubameyang last year. Last year, Aubameyang's goals were so vast in number that you didn't even mind that he wasn't playing for 89 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's a question.
You've got to give the same energy to Bruno Fernandes. I don't care if he doesn't play for 89 minutes and gets marshaled out a game. But if he scores you a goal a game, he's scoring at a rate of over a goal a game.
That's what matters.
So how many how many goals has he scored from open play?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I can score penalty. You can score penalty. Drew can score penalty. Nick can score penalty.
It doesn't matter.
How you penalty. It doesn't matter.
I'm not scoring no penalties. 30-yard screamers. That's all I'm doing.
Look, Tony. I'm not saying the player is not a decent player. I'm saying he's overrated, and I think he's overrated. That's my perspective. I watch him play a lot. I watch him play against us. When we close mark him, he disappeared.
I'm sorry,
he was anonymous twice against us.
Bertram, 28 goals, 17 assists.
In what period? How many penalties in that number?
In one season, bro.
How many penalties in that number? The reason why we rate, when we bought Pepe scored 21 goals. I think he had 10 penalties. Would distort how he played. No, look, he's a good player, but I'm not a Fernandes fan.
20.
18 is saying Bertram was last season. No, Abba has this in my mind. Abba is a great goal scorer. Great goal scorer. He just can't play football. I'll say this at a point too, which is I do think Kroenke is gonna feel the pressure from one, us being out of Europe, two, the protests about his involvement in Super League, and three is the fact that he realized that his asset may depreciate if he doesn't invest in it. Now, as Tony said, I agree with Tony on this, which is it's not that we haven't spent money. But I'll go back to the whole concept of basketball players, Allen Iverson, Walker from the Celtics. You make over $100 million in your career, you look around, you have zero. It's what you do with your money. It's not necessarily how much money you spend. And we have spent poorly. If you look at the Mustafas of the world, the Gabriel who went back, the Ozil, all these players we have bought, the Sanchez who turns into some other player that went to Roma, whatever you look at that we have done, you don't get a return on your investment. We don't have a Suarez or a Coutinho or any of these players you can sell, or a Maguire from Leicester, or Leicester does, or Leicester selling a Mahrez. That's the model we should employ if you're going to have a self-sustaining model, not one we try to buy high and you can't even get rid of the asset. Now we couldn't get rid of Ozil. Yeah. Brilliant player offensively in terms of assists against, never played defense and also controversial. So the last one I'll say is that my hope, and I'm a fan, as usual, enthusiastic, that we turn the corner by 2030. That's my hope. Because I'm hoping to still be around. But it ain't going to be next season. Because unless we invest real wisely, and unless our forward line start firing, and it's a mismatch up front. I'm telling you, Tony, Lacazette, Aubameyang, Pepe, William are not scoring goals. They don't play well together on scoring goals on a regular basis. It's been a fact. 2 seasons now, we haven't crossed 60 goals.
Yep, yeah, I totally agree with you.
They're not firing. The firing pins have been pulled out and they haven't realized it. It's not working. So that has to change. But I say thanks, everyone. Thanks, finally. You guys have been brilliant. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Brilliant conversation. Enjoy the conversation. Hope you have a great weekend. And Neil, good luck in your next 3 games, because I do love to be Liverpool instead of Chelsea being in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Take care,
Bye,
guys.
Bye, guys.
Okay.